Good morning, everybody. I think this is on. You can hear me?
Anyone? Yeah, it's also recording the cameras.
Okay. I suppose just following Pather, I have a difficult act to follow there, but I think that some of the work that we've been doing in ECO-UNESCO, I suppose it is that idea of sowing the seeds. And I think that from the work that we've been doing in the non-formal side and how we've been working within the secondary school system, you can see how, I suppose, how we sow the seeds of creativity and change within young people in the system. So, for anyone who doesn't know us, we're an environmental education and youth organisation. We're linked to UNESCO. We're a key partner of UNESCO's Global Action Programme in Education for Sustainable Development. That's the programme post the UN Decade of Education for Sustainable Development. So it was kicked off in 2015. I suppose the being an international key partner of UNESCO means that UNESCO have recognised the work that we're doing on the ground, I suppose, in the non-formal side. We have a number of different programmes. Today I'm going to focus on, as I said, it's an overview of the work that we're doing within the second level system. I will highlight our Young Environmentalist Awards programme. We have a Youth for Sustainable Development programme, which I'm going to talk about as well. But I also want to highlight, I suppose, that we are a QQI accredited training centre, and we do offer courses on sustainable development and ecology, and we do a lot of, I suppose, work with teacher training. One of the things, I suppose, from an organisational perspective is that we've been members of the Irish Environmental Network, so we very much would have started out as an environmental education organisation, but we're also members of the Irish Development Education Association, so would obviously have recognised the importance of linking the environmental education work that we do to the bigger global picture as well as being members of the National Youth Council of Ireland. And of course, National Youth Council of Ireland is a non-formal education organisation. So I suppose the approach that we take to our work, we would very much say, is education for the environment, education about the environment, and education in the environment. When we talk about for the environment, we work with young people, and I suppose we promote positive actions. We want to develop a sense of agency. We explore values. We look at youth-led approaches to the work that we do. We encourage behavioural change that supports the natural environment. And then also, we very importantly, I suppose, when you're working with young people, it's about, much is about social connections and them linking with other young people. The education about the environment, which I suppose is a lot of the scientific kind of education, the what. So we would look at ecosystems, but very importantly for us is the interconnectedness between ecosystems. We, I suppose, have a focus on what we call eco-literacy. And then education in the environment, and Paddy, you touched on this as well, about the importance, I suppose, of developing an emotional connection to the natural environment. So in the work that we do, we try as much as possible to get young people out into the natural world. Now, we know that within the second level system, it's not as easy as just doing it like that, but I suppose we would see that it is really important to develop some sort of a sensitivity to the natural environment. And a lot of you will know what education for sustainable development is. So we have knowledge, skills, attitudes and values. And the knowledge-based, as I said, the interdependencies and relationships of ecosystems and in the natural world, but then of people and ecosystems, skills such as critical thinking, futures thinking, self-awareness, attitudes, appreciation for diversity, respect for ecological systems, and then behaviour and action, so promoting positive behavioural change as well. I suppose our approach to our work in secondary schools, we would see it as looking at people, practice, policy and place. And we would, I suppose, interject our work into some of those areas. We don't do all of it, but we do some of that work. So when we talk about people, we work very much with teachers, we've worked with students, we've also done work with principals. We look at, from a practice perspective, the pedagogy. We focus quite a lot on, we do some curricular work, but we do a good bit of extracurricular work. School policies and school ethos, slightly. We probably haven't touched on that as much, but we do have an Eco-Sustainability Award programme and we've been linking in a bit. And then place, the importance of the school within its community. I suppose the school not just being the institution that often is the institution in our society, but that it's actually linking to the local, and then it also is linking to the global, and then very importantly is the natural environment element of place. So that's how I suppose we would see our work, but again, not doing all of those things, but some of them. And some of the work we do is through a range of different programs that we offer. So we have a Young Environmentalist Awards program. Between 2015 and 2017, we've worked with 370 plus secondary schools in the country. We developed a Learning to Change program, which has been funded by Worldwide Global Schools in 2014. So we work with about 60 plus secondary schools. We would also run teacher training, student council training. We have an ecology module for Leaving Cert, and we have eco clubs as well. And we've been running a very successful Youth for Sustainable Development programme, and I know, Duncan, you met some of our young people during the week. We had an Environmental Youth Summit. That programme has been running since 2007 with the support of Irish Aid. It is run as an after-schools initiative. It's very much focused, I suppose we take TY students and they're taken out of their school and they do work in the, I suppose, the non-formal after-school setting. And since 2007, we've worked with about 1,200 young people and trained them as peer educators and youth leaders. And in 2018, we've got a pilot of a Youth for Sustainable Development leadership module, an after-schools club that we're being funded by the EPA to pilot, and we'll see where that takes us. So we're hoping that that may become something that we can roll out into secondary schools all over the country. And I suppose it is building on what we do as a non-formal education provider, bringing that experience that we have and bringing it into the formal setting. So some of you will be aware of our Young Environmentalist Awards programme. It's youth-led, action-based environmental awareness. We have different age groups, 15 to 18-year-old seniors, juniors 12 to 14, and then we run some with primary school. But really our main focus as an organisation is the 12 to 18-year-old age group. And you can see lots of different activity and energy there from the young people who've been involved in that particular programme. So I suppose since 2015, between 2015 and 2017, would have worked with 370 plus secondary schools. We have 850 plus projects registered as well. So, and that's done in a really wide range of project areas. We have a lot of biodiversity projects. We have eco-community development projects, we have waste projects, energy, we have different approaches. You might have an eco-art and design, so someone might be interested. So basically it's what they're interested in and what young people want to do, and they basically can select a category in any of these areas and do a project. And you'll see from, I suppose, the map here that we're basically in this is just 2017, and there's little blanks, but you'll see over the past few years, we've actually worked in every single county in Ireland as well. In 2017, we had 257 formal education schools. 189 of the projects were senior and 80 were junior. So that'll show you that probably a lot of the work that we're doing is, the transition year programme is a very popular place, but CSP is also very popular as well. So we link to the politics and society, to geography, science, SPHE and wellbeing. And it's very much a transition year or CSPE project as well, very much used for that. And it's promoted through the action project idea within schools. So it follows a specific framework. So for teachers, they have a stepped kind of framework to follow. And then it also runs in the academic year. So it's from September to May of each year. We're still at the registration stage. So our registration finishes at the end of November. And we also have supports available. So we would have training and workshops available and then a resource manual. So for any teachers who are interested, they can actually, we have training, we have manuals. And what we want to do with this, I suppose it's the idea of young people selecting an environmental issue of concern to them, developing an action plan, taking action, and then they raise awareness with their peers, and then they reflect basically on what they've done. The second initiative that we've been running for the past, I suppose since 2014 with the support of Worldwide Global Schools, is called Learning to Change Our World, and it's particularly aimed at promoting ESD in schools. And that has been done through capacity building of teachers, students and principals. So we have teacher training, so we do capacity building for teachers, and that would be through looking at ESD and incorporating ESD into subjects. So instead of not having sustainable development as a subject, but you incorporate it into specific subject areas. Building confidence in teachers, I suppose, in terms of using active learning methodologies, because often there's an issue and there's a problem with maybe teachers that don't feel very confident using active learning methodologies. We also do young person training, so we have workshops on sustainability, the Sustainable Development Goals and action project work. We've been looking at a whole schools approach as well, and then in 2018 we've got some new funding from World West Global Schools for student council training. So we're looking at youth leadership, peer education and action projects, and so we'll be working with the student councils. So the idea of being, it's not just teachers in classroom, it's also student councils, and then also importantly for us is the extracurricular side. So we'd like to try to promote the non-formal extracurricular kind of club activities as well. Okay, so with Learning to Change, I suppose since we started, we have 170 plus teachers trained. We've worked with 2,755 young people in 60 plus schools throughout the country as well. And that again runs from September to May. And we've a programme that we're running currently within 20 secondary schools in the country. And then the third thing that I just wanted to focus on very quickly was our Youth for Sustainable Development programme. And that particular programme is about training young people directly. So we've been doing that through a 12-week programme and action project work. And this is the programme that we'll be running as a pilot in 2018. And we're going to see how that works, because we'd love to see that we could maybe offer something kind of similar. It's that bringing again that non-formal empowerment approach to working with young people and bringing that non-formal approach into the formal setting. And this is just an example of actually a project that some of the young people from the Youth for Sustainable Development, they call themselves YPEPs, so they've come up with, one of our, I suppose, one of the people who started or was involved in the programme from the start, Jerry Ann Sullivan. Jerry Ann also was involved in producing one of our resources, and you probably have seen this resource. Many of you might have used this particular resource, but it's Youth for the Future. So it's a Sustainable Development ESD resource that we developed, and this is a project that young people did. They looked at the Dublin Bike Scheme, and they wanted to use the LEAP card in the Dublin Bike Scheme. And then we have a number of education resources. So for teachers, we develop resources. We try to help you to work and incorporate sustainability and incorporate education for sustainable development into your work. And we are looking at producing a sustainability toolkit in 2018 as well. So that's, I suppose, the future of the work is very much what I'd said. We're continuing with our Young Environmentalist Awards, developing that Youth for Sustainable Development programme module, continuing with that teacher training, and then also, I suppose, creating opportunities for young people to develop their own leadership skills as well. That's just some of what people say. This is a teacher. The active experiential learning is the way to go. And thanks so much for delivering very informative. So I suppose very much teachers and young people. Thank you. Sorry.